They turned a man away at JFK last month. Valid visa, clean record, 10 years of travel history. The only thing that stopped him, a single Facebook post from 4 years ago. If you think this cannot happen to you, stay right here, because what US border officers are now authorized to do in 2026 will change how you think about every international trip you ever take. Welcome to Global Immigration News. What we are about to cover is not speculation. It is not a warning from an anonymous source online. It is documented federal policy, already being enforced at every major US airport, and the vast majority of visa holders, green card applicants, international students, and even lawful permanent residents have no idea it is happening to them before they even reach the inspection booth. Here is the core of what changed. The United States Department of Homeland Security has formally expanded its social media vetting framework, and the window of review is now 5 years. 5 years of your posts, your shares, your comments, your tagged content, your associations, and in device inspection cases, your private messages. All of it now sits inside what border officers are authorized to examine when you arrive at a US port of entry. That means 2021 is fair game today. 2022 is fair game. Content you forgot you posted, content you were tagged in without asking, content that made sense in context but means something completely different to a federal officer reading it on a screen. All of it. And here is what makes this more serious than most travelers realize. This review does not start at the airport. It starts the moment you submit your visa application. The DS-160 form, the non-immigrant visa application used worldwide, already requires you to disclose your social media usernames and platforms. Every handle you list goes into a federal database. That database is live and accessible to Customs and Border Protection officers before your plane lands. So by the time you reach the primary inspection booth, an officer may already have a pre-generated profile on your online presence, and you will not know it. Now let us stop here, because this is where the first major misunderstanding destroys people. Most travelers believe social media checks at the border are rare, reserved for high-risk individuals, random at best. That belief is wrong, and acting on that belief is exactly what puts people in secondary inspection rooms for 3 hours on a Tuesday afternoon with their luggage sitting alone on a carousel. These checks are systematic, they are data-driven, and in 2026, they are increasingly supported by artificial intelligence tools that scan content at a scale and speed no human team ever could. You are not being personally targeted, you are being processed, and the system flags what the system is programmed to flag, without context, without nuance, and without the benefit of the doubt. So what exactly triggers a flag? Let us be direct, because vague warnings help no one. Content that expresses support for or association with any organization the US government classifies as terrorist or extremist. This is the most serious category, and it carries the most severe consequences. Posts that appear to express hostility toward US government institutions, agencies, or policies. Images, videos, or written content connected to protest activity, particularly during politically sensitive periods between 2020 and 2024. Content that directly contradicts statements made on your visa application. And this one surprises people the most. Online associations with individuals who are themselves flagged in government systems. You do not need to have posted anything problematic yourself. If you follow, interact with, or are publicly connected to a flagged account, that connection is visible and it is noted. Here is the second major misunderstanding, and this one is critical. People believe that private social media accounts are invisible to government screening. They set their Instagram to private, their Facebook to friends only, and they travel with the assumption that those locked accounts protect them. They do not. Privacy settings limit what the general public sees. They do not limit what government analytical systems access through other means. And they absolutely do not protect you if an officer asks you to unlock your phone during a device inspection, which brings us to the part of this process that creates the most confusion and the most fear. CBP officers have legal authority under federal law to request inspection of your electronic devices at the port of entry. No warrant required. And for non-immigrant travelers, people on tourist visas, student visas, work visas, refusing that request carries enormous risk. The practical consequence of refusal for someone on a non-immigrant visa is denial of entry. Your visa does not protect you inside a border inspection zone the way it protects you once you are inside the country. These are two legally distinct environments, and understanding that distinction can be the difference between walking through customs and sitting in a detention holding area. Now, and we want to be very precise here, a device inspection request does not mean you are being accused of anything. It does not mean you will be denied entry. What it means is that an officer has identified something in your screening profile that warrants a closer look. How you respond in that moment, your composure, your consistency, your honesty, carries real weight in how that encounter ends. Immigration attorneys who work with high-volume international travel clients are giving their clients one unified piece of guidance right now. Do not volunteer information beyond what is directly asked. Answer honestly, but do not expand beyond the question. Do not attempt to pre-explain content you are worried about before you are asked about it. Do not show anxiety in a way that reads as evasiveness. And if an inspection escalates to a level where you feel you need legal representation, you have the right to request contact with an attorney, though for non-immigrant travelers, that right has limitations inside the port of entry that you should understand before your travel date. Let us now talk about who is carrying the highest risk exposure under this expanded framework, because this affects different traveler categories in genuinely different ways. International students, especially those enrolled in STEM programs, cybersecurity fields, and certain areas of political science and international relations, are facing more detailed vetting at both visa issuance and at re-entry. This is documented. It is not rumor. H-1B professionals, L-1 transferees, and those on optional practical training, people who have built careers, paid taxes, and lived inside the United States legally for years, are also navigating a re-entry environment that is more analytically thorough than it was even 18 months ago. Green card holders returning from international travel represent another category where misconceptions are most dangerous. A green card is not a shield from border scrutiny. Lawful permanent residents can be referred to secondary inspection. They can be asked about their social media activity. In serious cases, they can face proceedings that challenge their admissibility. Knowing this going in, rather than discovering it at the border, is not fear, it is preparation. And for travelers from countries where the US maintains heightened security screening partnerships, the social media review is not an edge case, it is the standard. Here is something that does not get discussed enough: the accuracy problem. Automated social media screening systems are powerful. They are also imperfect. They misread sarcasm. They strip cultural context from content. They flag based on keywords without understanding meaning. They connect associations that are coincidental and not substantive. These are documented limitations that legal scholars and civil liberties organizations have raised repeatedly. A satirical post that your friends understood perfectly can read as a serious statement to an algorithm. A shared article that you found interesting can be interpreted as an endorsement. A protest photo from a vigil can be categorized alongside content it has nothing to do with. This is not an argument against the screening process. It is a statement of operational reality, and it is the exact reason why preparation, documentation, and legal awareness matter so much. Travelers who enter the United States knowing their own social media footprint, who can calmly and clearly contextualize content if asked, consistently navigate border encounters far more successfully than those who are encountering their own posts, as if for the first time, through an officer's questions. So what does smart, practical preparation actually look like in 2026? First, review your own profiles the way a federal officer would review them. Not as yourself, not with personal context, not with the understanding of your friendships and your humor and your history. Look at your public content as a stranger with a security checklist would look at it. What would flag? What would require explanation? Knowing the answers to those questions before you travel is infinitely better than discovering them in secondary inspection. Second, ensure your disclosed social media accounts match your actual online presence. If you listed 3 platforms on your DS-160 and you actively use 6, that gap is a potential inconsistency. Inconsistencies between disclosed information and discovered information are among the most reliable triggers for elevated scrutiny. Third, before traveling, particularly if you are returning after a significant time abroad or if your immigration history has any complexity, a consultation with an immigration attorney is not paranoia. It is strategy. A single hour of professional guidance can clarify your specific risk profile and give you a clear, confident framework for the border encounter ahead. Fourth, carry documentation that supports your status. Know your visa expiration date, your authorized period of admission, any pending applications that affect your entry, and any prior immigration encounters that could generate questions. Arriving informed about your own case is preparation that pays dividends. Fifth, understand the secondary inspection process before you experience it. If you are referred to secondary, stay composed. The officer conducting that inspection is doing their job. Your composure, your consistency, and your honesty are your most effective tools. People who escalate emotionally, who provide contradictory answers, or who attempt to minimize or hide content on their devices consistently make their situations worse, not better. The immigration enforcement landscape in the United States in 2026 is operating with more data, more technology, and more analytical depth than at any prior point in history. That reality is not reversible. It will continue to expand. What is within your control, entirely within your control, is your level of preparation, your awareness of your own digital footprint, and your understanding of the process you are entering when you step off that plane. The travelers who move through US ports of entry without incident are not always the ones with the simplest backgrounds. They are the ones who arrived knowing what to expect, knowing their own situation, and knowing how to engage with the process calmly and honestly. That is not luck. That is preparation, and preparation starts with information. If this content gave you clarity that you did not have before pressing play, subscribe to Global Immigration News right now. Every week we break down exactly what is changing in US immigration policy, in language that is clear, accurate, and genuinely useful for people who are navigating these systems in real life. Also, follow our WhatsApp channel. The link is in the description, where we push critical immigration alerts the moment developments happen. In a system that moves this fast, being 1 week behind on information can cost you significantly. Remember what matters most from everything covered today. Your social media history going back 5 years is now a formal part of the US immigration vetting process. This review begins before your flight lands. Private account settings do not provide legal protection at the port of entry. Device inspections are legal, authorized, and increasingly common. Inconsistencies between disclosed and discovered social media accounts are serious red flags. Composure, honesty, and preparation are your strongest tools at any border encounter, and staying informed consistently from reliable sources is the most underestimated form of immigration protection available to you. Travel smart, stay informed. We will see you in the next video.